Now you can understand the fact that not all information that you receive, you hear that, oh, this is a media house, you take it hook, line, and sinker. Because information is very key. You did say something when we're talking about creation of words, what the man of God had told us over the years, that a man is the same, except from the things he hears, the places he goes, the things he says, and the people he meets with. And one thing that has been a major influence on the decisions of millions of people all around the world has been the media. And ever since the COVID-19 fiasco did happen, we saw how the narrative in the media industry just changed. All of a sudden, the fear they instilled before, the way advertorials went in, it was every minute you had to wear your face mask. You've got to keep the 6 feet distance. You've got to do this. You've got to do that.
Celebrities that came to say, some, not all, I know some people were really infected by the COVID-19 fiasco, but there are some others that were actually paid to say they were infected on good word, like this is no jokes. And they came to the media, to their social media handles to announce that, oh, we have the COVID-19, and they spread fear all over the place. And apart from that, really, when Pastor was talking about free speech, I know in the 2000s, 2010s, it was a major thing. You should be allowed to say what you want to say. Express yourself is a fundamental human right. Now, if I just mention vaccine on my status, you will see all the social media handles, they have information.
Yes.
If I just mention sick or vaccine
they'll log you out
or
without
COVID,
your permission.
They put information there to show you that we are watching. What are you saying?
Yes.
We are watching you. And once I just say that vaccine,
they silence your voice.
Sometimes that post is taken down.
Yes, they delete the post without your permission.
It's taken down without anybody's permission. On all the social media handles, that's the major ones like, the so-called major ones, like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They take it down. And you're wondering, these are the people that said, we're free to talk.
Yeah.
I mean, you people shut a whole president down for saying his mind. President Trump.
Yes.
He was taking off Twitter.
Yeah, he was taking off because he was saying his mind.
Yeah.
You said that this was a fundamental human right.
It was supposed to be a platform for you to express
Yes, we're supposed to
yourself.
operate a democracy that's government for the people, of the people, and by the people.
No, this was even a fundamental human right.
I'm
Yes,
even going
the
somewhere.
right to speech.
The right to speak. There's freedom of speech. Every individual has the right to speak. You have the right to say your mind. Then you can come from your own point of view and say, okay, no, but there's communication. That's from the encoder to the decoder. That's the receiver and back end. That's feedback. Without feedback, there's no communication. And every individual has the right to their own opinions, their views, expressions. It is normal in the court of law. You can express yourself any way you want to express yourself, depending on the situation. But now, they are not coming up with the speech sanctions that you are not allowed suddenly to speak what you want to speak. Then what are you alive? You can't express yourself. Then why are we talking about freedom of speech or freedom of self-word and all of that? That means your right has been trampled upon directly or indirectly. And that is what it is. And if we keep quiet, the gradual they go. When they are able to succeed in a state, they'll take it further. That's what we're speaking now.
That's why we Pastor Chris wholeheartedly, because the boldness with which he's taught us to talk, to speak, we must continue. We must speak the truth, whether people hear it or not. Now, when it comes to witchcraft, I come from Benin City, Edo State. So I know what Pastor is talking about when he says,
witches kill their own.
Like, because I used to wonder how the thing was so potent in that place. And not for maybe president of Brazil or Buhari or any other thing. Or why can't you make it?
It was always within.
It's always within the family or always within somebody they know. And I used to wonder, just because it's the Benin people I'm talking about now, this is the same witchcraft that these people are having to choose to control the pharmacia, the pharmaceutical systems, and the media. It is the same thing. Like the one in Benin City is still the same one they are doing there, even worse, they are practicing. And really, the vehemence they use to defend themselves, to say, we're saying the truth, we're saying the truth, to ignore the truth and blind people, the vehemence, the violence they use to say, no, we don't want people to see the truth. It's amazing. That is why we must go all out. Every day, I tell people, listen to Pastor Chris.
Yes.
The vaccines are not good for you. We don't, if Pastor said it yesterday, we don't even know what's going to happen to the human body. We don't know what
In
they put
5
inside.
years, because
It
it
is not
wasn't
been
tested.
tested. So if you took it, we don't know what is going to happen to you. Certainly your life is not normal again.
I saw a
And you know,
post
there's
by
no
a
going back.
celebrity, yesterday, who said that she just took the vaccine and her eyes were itchy, her back,
that's even
back
some-
ache,
that's-
and
No,
that's
those are paid
we've had
adverts.
people,
That-
we've
we
had
are-
that
people
one is
that,
nothing.
No, we've had other ones that complained about backache,
blood
collapse,
clots.
different side effects.
And
on
you know,
different people.
this is something that people need to be awake to. And little by little, your rights are being eroded. And we're talking about when the whole COVID-19 fiasco did happen, we saw how these rights were denied. Your right to movement was taken away from you because a lockdown was instituted in your city.
Yep.
And now the government say, okay, when it's time for the government to make such decisions, they call it emergency laws. You know, emergency rule, where the government has a right to take a decision
of
on
emergency.
behalf of the nation.
Executive
and,
order.
you know, executive orders, draconian laws were being introduced. We saw how when a particular media station will come up to say, oh, this is not the narrative, you were fined, especially here back in this world in Nigeria, 500,000. You know, it was usually
Right.
500,000
Yeah.
to
And they
pay the
mishandled
hate speech.
several
Then it was
individuals
increased to
on the
5
road.
million, you know, to pay. A lot of videos were being brought down. And what we are saying is that your social media platforms, when you see a celebrity who is saying, oh yes, the COVID-19, you need to get vaccinated.
I just
Do
got vaccinated.
not be fooled. The Bible told us, and Pastor Chris, this shows that deception will thrive in this world at this time. Now, deception is the vehicle where the Antichrist is going to function. You know, before, you know, the coming again of Christ. He's going, while we are taking away deception. You know, the deceit of the fact that people thought that 5G is the next to 4G. You know, they say, but we went from 3G now to 4G.
10 times
It's 5G. Go and make your study, do your research. So when you hear Pastor Chris say, do your own diligent research, that is
And
what
it's
we're
not
talking
on
about.
Google.
It's not on Google. There are sites that give you the information without being, you know, brought down. Go to YouTube, several videos that doctors speaking. Remember when Dr. Stella Emanuel was all about the hydroxychloroquine. You've got to take it. They ensured they
She
shut
was
her
written
down.
several
They
letters.
brought down,
They threatened her.
They brought down her
and all.
interviews.
They
They
dug
brought
up
down
dirt.
everything.
They don't got dirt about her.
About her.
But I love her.
But-
and she's a Christian.
So we are saying it's important you filter what you listen to. And that is why stations and networks like the Love World Networks are important for you. Because we give you information unfiltered. This is not information that is infiltrated. We feel like it is a fact. And not only do we state the facts, we also tell you according to God's word. And the beautiful thing is that this is the month of truth. And the Spirit of God is going to give you the ability to discern, you know, from what is right or wrong. The vaccine is not good for you. We'll say it over and over again. Do not be fooled. You know, I saw on my status a friend of mine who took the vaccines. He took a picture when the injection was being put in his hand. And I sent him a message immediately. And I said, why did you take the vaccines? He said, because he wanted to. I said, brother, you have been damned. You shouldn't have taken this. It has become fashionable to take a picture and put first dose.
It's not even do you know my
Second dose.
It's not fashionable or
logical thinking about this
It's that
vaccine is that
sentence.
would you stop COVID-19? No. Would it prevent you from getting COVID-19? No.
They don't even
would you
care.
make your
That's the
everything
deceit.
is no. So what's the vaccine?
But they are not even deceiving
for?
people about that. They are
They're telling you, but the
straight
eyes
up.
of people.
If you take the vaccine, you still need to
Take another
and
one.
they said the infection can still come.
They're already taking second
said there's
dose in the
another
US.
strain.
Yes.
So now,
My goodness.
My
Why
cousin
are
told
you
me was
taking
going
the
for the
vaccine?
second
And you
dose.
that is why that True South song, they try to say they are
People in
woke.
prison, they try to,
They
but
say
they
they
are
are
not.
woke, but they are not. They are not woke at all. They are sleeping. I was speaking the truth to you in love and in honesty. This is the month of truth. Take it. Don't close your eyes to the word. Don't close your eyes to truth. Listen, observe it, and follow the truth, because there will be consequences if you don't listen and follow the truth.
Yeah. There
And
will
I hope
be.
it might not be too late, because the pastors,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that, pastor
There's
said one
time.
time that God is a God of second chance. Pastor said there are times that you don't have a second chance.
Is
It's
that
just
the
one way
second-
traffic. It's not all the time you have another chance. So if you have one chance, use it wisely. Just like you don't have two lives, you have just
No,
one
but
life.
people,
So
you know,
don't
it's
say
amazing.
you want to gamble with one and use another one.
The irony of this life is that these same people of this world gave the acronym YOLO, that you only live once.
only live once.
So if they know that life is one, why joke with this one
Bible says the God
that
of
you
this
have?
world
Blinds-
blindfolds.
yeah.
And that's why we're
They
praying
can't- they're
and
not
we're
seeing.
declaring. And every day we do not start the Your Love World without having to pray. We take excerpts of the Global Day of Prayer, and after esteemed men of God all around the world do a
I
little
love
bit of
those
exaltation.
sessions,
Yes,
yeah.
we go into prayer sessions. We pray for the world. Day before yesterday, we had to pray. Pastor was calling the names of countries all around the world, and we're making declarations. And it's important as a Christian to pray for your country. And sure, we are the ones to, hold back, hold forth, the Antichrist. That's why ever since this fiasco happened, that First Thessalonians 2 became my favorite scripture
And
of he letting that let.
That
It
led.
made me realize that we are in a position of authority
And you
as
know the
the
beautiful
church.
thing about Yola was that the presence that you connect with on the screen is activated in your own.
Straight
Yeah.
up.
So you bring that presence into
Even-
your
even-
home.
even your
Everything
device.
that is dead comes alive.
Hallelujah.
Everything that is dead comes alive. There's a saturation of God's presence in your home. So ensure that you connect, because there are things God gives you for the future.
Yeah.
You might think, okay, I'm not sick right now, I don't need it. But there are times that you just come into your home and sit down without even saying anything, because you have activated that presence into your home. You just come into your house and sit, and everything is just working. So ensure that you participate.
Yeah.
So that presence, you can feel it in your house, so that it can activate everything around you. So that there are times that you might not feel that excited and all of that to pray the way you ought to pray, but you've already made deposit in the realm of the
Very
Spirit. So
true.
you are enjoying
you need a
what
prayer
you've already,
bank, and you need a knowledge bank. And that is what Your Love World does for you. Now, in case you haven't participated since Monday, you have 2 more days to go. God is gracious and kind. As today will be the day 4 of Your Love World Season 3, Phase 3. And tomorrow is also going to be the grand finale for this particular phase. So you don't want to miss it. And it's 7 p.m. GMT +1. Now, if you need to be somewhere, you need to download the Live TV app and, stay tuned on Love World XP. And we'll be bringing these amazing sessions with the man of God today and, of course, tomorrow. Now, while we are still on earth, because we are not taking out of the way just yet, and it is not yet time for us to give the Antichrist the opportunity to rule the world. The Bible tells us he has given us the opportunity to dominate the world. And in world domination, I like to take it from the fact that in the book of Genesis, when Adam and Eve was introduced to us, one thing was introduced, one major occupation was introduced in the scriptures,
Farming.
and that is farming. Now, the Bible did tell us that Cain was a farmer, and Abel was actually a livestock farmer. He was into livestock and all of that. And when this happened, agriculture is something. When God said, let the fishes of the sea, he didn't create the fishes so that it's just swimming and having beautiful colors.
multiply.
He told us to multiply and dominate. And that is why we are here as human beings. So agriculture and farming is very important to our society. Now we want to talk about agriculture, food production. What can we do? How do we sustain, this beautiful earth before we are taken up to heaven, where we'll no longer need to farm? But let's see a short clip about what exactly agriculture is. And when we come back, our guests will be ready to talk more on agriculture and food production. Welcome back. Now, I just want to, before I talk about agriculture, we did see on that clip where they said that the world is going to hit about 9 billion people in 2020. So when you hear people say, that was a prediction. Now, when you hear people, when we did hit over 5.3 billion, some people were like, how can Pastor Chris say that he hit over 5.3 billion when we just have 7 billion people in the world? Brother, my sister, your facts are wrong.
I'm telling you.
Don't be deceived.
I just needed to rub that in.
There are some homes in the north, you're not even allowed to count their children. They
I'm
won't allow
telling you.
It's against their
Who is
policy and
counting the
law.
woman
So
who
who's
gave birth under the
counting?
bridge yesterday?
Yes.
Are you serious?
You know, there was one your love was that pastor was showing a graph of how many births.
Every day.
No,
And how many
every
people die?
second.
Every second, I mean.
Yes, in the world.
Every second.
So my brother, my sister, just go and count again. All right.
No,
Right
no,
about
sir.
now, you know, we're talking about agriculture and food security. Now, to sustain the steaming population we have in the world, one thing that must be available and affordable is actually food, which people actually do need to survive. Now, to talk to us about agriculture and food security, we have Emem Thompson, who is the Senior Commercial Officer with the Federal Government Technology Incubation Center. She is a business consultant and a farmer, basically into cash crop and animal production. Now, allow us to introduce to you the MD CEO of Elysia Agro Industries.
Nice to have you.
So much accolades for that. Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Your hat looks like a farmer hat.
Yeah, I had to wear this to show you that.
All right. Okay, so before we get to talk to you today, we will take the word of today, and when we come back, we'll begin this conversation.
Thank you.
Now, that is one word we are definitely going to be using during the course of this conversation. Now, if you just join us, I introduce Emem Thompson, who is the MD CEO of Elysia Agro Industries. And now she's going to be talking to us about agriculture and, of course, food security. Now, Miss Emem, as a farmer, now I need you to tell us exactly what is food production and agriculture in a generic sense. Now, for a layman who says, okay, what exactly is food security from a generic sense?
Well, thank you very much for having me. In a generic sense, food security means the availability of food and one's access to it. Because if you look at it, households are considered to be food secured when their occupants, they are considered not to be food secured when their occupants don't have food to eat, they live in hunger and starvation. That's basically what food security is all about.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We know that agriculture is actually supposed to be, or it was shown to us as a traditional business. But now as science and technology has evolved, agriculture has actually been steered towards the direction of a digital world. Now, how is agriculture supposed to function in a digital world like we have now?
Yeah, the main thing about it is because we have more people in the world, like you said, 9 billion. So it has to be digital. It's not restricted to like the traditional sense where we're having the subsistence farming and all that. Now, agriculture has evolved. It has to meet the global needs. So being digital means for it to meet global needs, we have to use technology. So being digital is basically e-agriculture. Let me use the word e-agriculture. Since we have e-commerce, we have e-agriculture, knowing that technology has evolved One, we have high-tech machines used for agriculture and production as well. Now, if we have to meet the needs of the world, production has to be en masse. And that cannot thrive in subsistence farming. It helps in commercial farming. So technology goes as far as helping us to achieve food security in a modern day like this. Thank you.
Okay, so there are several challenges when it comes to agriculture, especially in Africa. Um, Several challenges like corruption. We find out that that is a major problem in agriculture in Nigeria. The budgetary spending for agriculture is so low compared to every other sector in Nigeria. And we have mismanagement of funds, low monetization, illiteracy. These are major challenges I know. I told you about a friend I had that had a chicken poultry. And for her to get good chicken, she had to get her feed from as far as Kenya.
Wow.
Wow.
They don't sell chicken feed here. Now, these are just some of the challenges that I am aware of that goes with this supposedly simple business. How do you think that a normal lay person that wants to get started with the agriculture business, because it's a viable business, how do you think we can overcome these challenges and take it on?
Well, you have mentioned some of the challenges. I, as a farmer, have issues with machineries because where I am, the government doesn't even embrace agriculture as part of industrialization. And it's really bad because the government of the day believes in oil and all of that. And they don't see agriculture as something that can actually change the economy of the state. So to me, it is a lot. Well, for anybody going into such a business, will have to be prepared. You have to do your research, first of all, know where you can buy your feeds, like for poultry. A lot of people mix it up. You need to know, ascertain your feeds. You have to get proper feeds because there was an instance where last year some people could not access day-old chicks. Even the feeds were imported and it wasn't even available for farmers as at last year. And the price skyrocketed. So you have mentioned corruption and all that. It is actually a cankerworm for us. Even in Africa, it is so bad that agriculture is like, it's not primary. It's not primary for the economy. It is more like secondary. And it's affecting farmers a lot because they see farmers like yeah, an old, you see a farmer like a poor person or whatever. You don't see farmers like people who can actually change the economy of the state. And if the government of the day starts looking at farming or agriculture as the next big thing, I think their perception will change. I know it's a mindset thing because everybody does things in oil. Oil is gradually phasing out. Agriculture is taking the place. So a lot of people the government needs to know that they have to change their mindset about agriculture, invest in agriculture to stand globalization. That's what I feel.
You know, just before just to buttress what she's saying, are you aware that Bill Gates, 1/3 of American land, he has bought them over for farming? I don't know.
So what's it going to be planting?
So I'm just trying to tell you how viable and how people that want to change the world think. I mean, this is what God gave us to change our world. He gave us a land.
Viable and an
He said,
arable land.
cook, multiply, grow whatever, till it and grow whatever it is you want to grow. Now, this is part of also the world domination thing they are planning. They want to take over the food. Pastor told us that they are going to take over food production.
Food production.
Well, it's not
But
just,
no,
just
but
that.
we-
It's
we-
not
we
yet their
saw that.
time.
We
They
saw
will eventually
that
do it when we're out of
happen.
here.
Out.
No,
Because
but they have
if you don't have
started
the mark,
because,
you'll be able to buy or sell.
you know, China is always the model for some of these practices. And, you know, when China introduced the one-child policy, it's because they felt like production of food all those things were not a particular production amount should go to each family. So right now, you can't have more than one child in China. So these are how they are controlling.
Okay,
the
I'd like to ask a question. You know, Nigeria is still characterized by high reliance on food imports, and there's a lot of malnutrition in our society, widespread of entire country, especially in the rural areas. Then there's chronic food shortages, malnutrition, erratic food supply, poor quality of food, and high cost of food, even in total lack of food generally. So what is the future of agribusiness from your own perspective? What is the future? What are we supposed to do? And how is it going to be in the next 2, 3, 5 years? How is it going to be?
Well, I would say that agriculture will be the next goal in 2 years. Let me say 2 years, because I realized that if a man is, like you said, you talked about food shortage. I remember when Iraq, I think it was Iraq that had that were fighting with Iran or something, but they had to shut their doors to supply food supply, and that served as a weapon. Now, food is going to be more like a weapon. It will no more be guns. It will no more be bombs. It will be food. Because once a man does not have to eat, he dies. Like natural men, I'm talking about natural men. He starts dying, and he starts agitating. He becomes agitated and all of that. What I'm trying to say is that in the next 3 years, food will become something, or food will become something that we would always look forward to. It will become a business that you will want to do. Now, a lot of people have tilted towards agriculture, knowing that. Let me give you, for example, Gary, as little as Gary, is sold here. 3 cups for 200 naira. Why? Because people were not producing at a certain point in time. Now, agriculture has a cycle. Production has a cycle. For cassava for you to grow cassava, it will take you 6 to 9 months. But now they've made it in such a way that, yes, cassava can come out in 6 months. Now, in 6 months, are you saying a period of growth, there will be scarcity? So it has to be. People shining now that it's not about having money in your pocket. It's about having food to eat. So it's going to be the new old. It's going to be the new future. It's going to be the new oil that people are struggling for. Because once you can sell, you make gain. The business is viable in terms of when you can do a production cycle to make it easier to push food into the market. You realize during rainy season or dry season, you are selling.
Yes,
So it makes
sorry, I would like to cut you short there because we actually do have a caller who is joining us now. Hello, good morning. We welcome you to the LXP Morning Flight.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone on set.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A quick question, please, to our guest. I just want to find out, why is it very comfortable? Let me use that word for the benefit of a better word. For the northerners, for the farmers in the north, to benefit from the government incentive than the farmers, as against the farmers in the south and the east. Because farmers over there really find it difficult to go by their usual businesses as compared to the farmers in the north. As a matter of fact, they give them incentive to be farmers. And the way we are looking at, the way things are right about now, and the way things are going, if the northerners decide to shut down, that they're not transporting food into the other parts of the nation, we are stranded. Look at what happened to us in December. They decided not to send onions, and onion became gold. Yeah. I just want to know, why is it that government is making it very easy for the northerners to farm as against the farmers in the east or the south? Thank you very much.
All right, I'm sure by the time our guest comes back, she's going to answer the question. But you know, you were talking to her about how she said how food has been weaponized. If you remember what happened during the Biafran War, now the Nigerian government did actually stop the supply of food to their territories, and there was a lot of starvation and kwashiorkor, and that was how that war actually ended, because food was actually weaponized. But Mr. Men, please go ahead to answer the question of our caller.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I would say that the Northerners are more organized. And we down here, when the Northerners were into farming, we didn't see farming as anything. We did not embrace it. And then they had gone ahead to form like hubs, agents. The government found it very easy, this money to them, because they know that, okay, these people are in a group and they will hold whoever accountable for the money that's been released to them. And also on the government part, government is saying that, okay, the Northerners have advanced into mechanized farming. They weren't just doing just subsistent farming. They engaged in mechanized farming, ensuring that food is even being supplied to the west, to the south, and also to the east. So it was easy for government to say, okay, let's push money this way to see that since they're already existing with farming, it's easier to work with them. They are already existing in the business. They've done it. We understand their challenges and we know how to get to them. It was easier to work with them. Now, coming this way, they give them incentives because, yes, obviously, they had embraced the fact that these guys are doing well. For over the years, they've been the ones supplying us some basic food that we need. Let's go, we'll talk about tomatoes, onions, pepper. I didn't even know that. I live in the south. I didn't even know that onions, tomatoes, and pepper can grow in the south until a Cameroonian came in and we started farming down here, and we discovered, oh, it actually thrives down here. So that's a different thing. I started planting tomatoes, pepper. I planted squash. I planted beetroot. Things that came from the north were actually growing here, and our eyes were open to see. So also, I think it's also a mentality problem when it comes to food production in some certain parts. Bear it in mind that the soil can cater for any food in any location that you are. Wherever you are.
Maybe people are thinking about the climate. Maybe sometimes the climate change affects some of these products, like carrots.
From school.
But you know, the thing
go
you
practical.
said is theories we got in agriculture. When you did agric in
Loamy
so you
soil,
were told
sandy
loamy
soil.
soil, sandy soil. Loamy soil was more fertile to grow. Then if you lived in a sandy soil area, you don't
grow.
So we can actually grow stuff
can
here.
actually practicalize
I think this is time for people to actually go for knowledge.
Yep.
Yes.
And seek knowledge, because knowledge is very important, and that is why you see the proponents of this whole COVID-19 fiasco know that people are ignorant of some certain things, and they take advantage of people's ignorance and introduce fear and deception. So in any sector, knowledge is important. But now, Ms. Emem Thompson, as a farmer, what would you say that, how would you define the criticality of agriculture to every nation, because you're in it? How critical is agriculture and food production to every system? Because many people are, you go to school, there's a mindset, like you did mention, I want to become a lawyer, I want to be, they saw farming as, you know,
Poor man's job.
A poor man's duty. But with the way things are going, and December was just a tip of the iceberg to see what the nation will be like if the Northerners wake up today and say, look, we are done with production. The whole nation is going to be, because how many people actually do save food in their fridge? Now, how critical is farming and agriculture? And now, when it comes to agriculture, there are two parts. When it comes to farming and livestock, how critical is this thing to a nation?
To a nation, so let me add then to individuals, because we refuse to be victim of somebody else's error. If the government isn't doing, the government of our days are not programmed to fend for the individuals.
Then
So
what
what
should
is
we
your
do?
address to individuals if the government aren't doing what they're supposed to do?
I thought that I'll
Okay,
ask my question.
first of all, to the nation, I would say that it's two ways: the government and the individuals. Now, to the nation, yeah, agriculture is 99.9% critical, being that it has to do with food and it has to do with food security. Now, let me say this. Why is it critical? It's critical to the government because, like you said, when once a certain part of the nation says we are not producing anymore, there won't be food for that period of time. And for individuals, there won't be food, and it becomes a concern because when once things go up, inflation sets in, there will be a lot of economic downturn. Bear in mind, agriculture can actually cause economic downturn here in Nigeria and within, because even at them, they export to neighboring countries as well that don't even, they are not involved in agriculture. So it can become an economic downturn for the nation. Now, for an individual, positively, I would say that the government should get involved in agriculture. Every state government should get involved in agriculture. Get everybody not working, unemployed youth into agriculture. Why? Because it will get to a point where each state needs to provide for what they will eat. That is, I'm talking about, I'm trying to talk about the government. Now, for an individual, your father's land in the village is not for decoration, it's for food. The soil there can plant one thing that will feed the entire community. It's just that we have not embraced it. We have not looked into it. People, I used to tell people the villagers are enjoying. We in the city, we're even suffering the more because we have to go and buy and all that. But if you are a farmer, you don't need to go to the market. The market comes to you. They look for you. The money comes to you. So it's like you sleep in your house and you're making money. So for an individual that has nothing to do, go and look for your father's land. Think of what you can get knowledge, think of what you can produce and start producing it. Like a few days ago, I saw a friend of mine, she's a doctor, but she started rearing broilers. And she sold a lot, and she was telling me, Emem, I sold 10 broilers today. And her broilers were, that's into livestock, her broilers were worth 3,700 per kg. Now, this is what it means. If you're in the city and you don't have what to do, go back to the village and take advantage of the land you have there.
What I want to ask...
Common water leaf, like I said, water leaf is a new goal. And actually export water leaf and make money out of it. There's nothing we can't make money out of from agriculture. From the leaves, from the stem, from the manure, whatever it is a going, and that chain is productive. Everything supplies money. So it's one after the other. This one works for this works for this. And when a plant dies, it turns to manure. So everything you can use on the farm. So you're not missing anything, you're not lacking anything. Thank you.
I have a question. Okay, so I grew up with my dad. I told you my dad had farms.
Yeah,
and even in my house, we had several trees and that brought different kind of foods to us. And this was just a mindset we had in Benin City then, that everybody should have a farm and grow. And really, I knew that sometimes they might not have money, or you might be going somewhere and they'll say, okay, wait, we'll give you money tomorrow. But you see that food, like I grew up with food in my house. Now, the question I want to ask is, how, because we've left that level of life for a while now, how do people get this knowledge? Is there a school that you learn subsistence farming? Is there a school you learn how to
do digital farming,
on digital farming or cash crops or stuff like that?
Livestock.
Do you have to go back to your agric books in secondary school, or is there a system for knowledge. That's just what I want to
Sorry,
ask.
to buttress what you said, just a few months ago, my daughter asked me that she wanted to plant a seed. I think it was beans.
Yeah, they teach them in school to plant.
Yeah, and we tried, but the seed wasn't. As in, it just got bad. It didn't grow. I tried again, the seed did not grow. So please, we need to learn.
She needs to grow that seed for her daughter.
We need to grow that seed. So, like she said, like Sophie rightly said, how are we supposed to learn this?
Is there a bank of knowledge where people
there
can
training
withdraw
somewhere so we
from?
could learn?
Yeah, there are training centers. You can get consultants to train you on agriculture. I won't say there is a school, but we have consultants who can take you through the training, agriculture training, both theoretically and practically. Now, you don't learn agriculture just writing books. You have to come to the farm. You have to be in the farm. So whatever you want to learn, you have to attach to the farm. You understand? Knowing that, okay, I want to learn how to grow rare birds. You have to attach yourself to a farm and get the knowledge. That's a practical knowledge. And also you have to study. Yes, there are books online which you can read, to buttress your practical sense. You get to find out the chemicals to use if it's in terms of cash crops, when to spray, and the climatic condition for growing crops. That's for crops and also for livestock. So it is a holistic knowledge. I won't say there is a school, but I can also say there is a school, meaning that you have to learn on the go. You have to go out. You have to learn on the go. Look for a farm and attach yourself with. It is always easy to learn online, but you need a farm. You need to practicalize what you're learning.
For the sake of my daughter, can you just tell me how to plant a bean seed?
First of all, if you have to plant a bean seed, you have to consider the soil. You have to do a soil test for you. Doing soil test is very key. It might not be the right soil.
The cement sand to plant.
Okay, I'm sorry, we actually do have a call. I'm sure that it's some. So this is Sentua calling us from Benin. Hello, Sentua, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sent. Please go ahead and make your contribution or ask your question.
I just want to comment on the topic you were talking about as regards the food scarcity. The northern part of the country should shut down their food supply. Let them shut down their food supply. For crying out loud, we don't need their food supply. Who said if they shut down the food supply that we will go hungry in the south? For crying out loud, I stayed in the north for some time. I never saw a farm. Most of this food come from the middle belt, not from the north itself. So, okay, if the north should shut, which fruits do they grow in the north? Which fruits? We're talking about food now. What fruits? I never saw a banga tree, a palm tree in the north. I never saw a coconut tree in the north. So if they are thinking of maybe shutting down their own, we are things that we can also shut down.
Oh my goodness. But you know that the northerners,
they're talking about onions.
but you know, I'm saying to what we were saying is that the basic thing is that we actually eat in every part, like tomatoes, onions.
But it can be grown.
Right, yes, it can be, but these are major stakeholders in that production. And while it was actually just a wake-up call to tell every other part of the state to say, look, you've got to wake up. That someone else is producing tomatoes in a large scale or onions in a large scale does not stop you from producing onion and tomatoes in your own part, in a large scale. You shouldn't wait. So it's a wake-up call to whether individuals, whether they're into banking, you can also do agriculture. Agriculture is for everyone. It's not for a select few. And like our guest did say, it is time for you to use your father's compound to grow things. Many of us, like the mindset is, I want to put a 5-star semi-detached duplex so that they will know that I have arrived. But, food security is very key. But finally, Ms. Emem, a very final question. Now, for someone, because a lot of people are watching and they are inspired and might want to say, okay, I think I should take the initiative and go into agriculture and livestock. How much do I need? $1 billion? Do I need to take a loan from the bank? Do I need to close up all my savings accounts just to ensure that I go into agriculture and, secure food and try to produce food for the community? Do I need to take a loan? Do I need to close my bank account? How much? What do I require to start up this business, whether it's farming or livestock?
You require your passion to be in agriculture, because agriculture has its own challenges. You understand? It's not a one-off thing. I tell people, don't go into agriculture because you're seeing the brighter part. That is a long-term part of agriculture. In the short term, you have to sacrifice. You understand? You don't need to close a bank. Just start from where you are. Learn. The most important thing in agriculture is learning first. Right. Getting to know the nitty-gritty of what you're delving into. Once you know that, then it's a goal for you. You know how much to spend. You can actually account for you can actually choose what you want to do. Like, okay, how much are you going to spend for this amount? Because bear in mind, agriculture is the products you're going to be producing is measured in units and is sold in units. So everything has a mathematical aspect in agriculture. So that is why I said you have to learn first, develop the passion, then you know how much. I can't tell you a figure for mechanized farming, okay, bring 1 billion. No. When just, I think it cost me so much money starting off. You understand? So growing into 5 hectares, 10 hectares is a lot of money, but you just have to start from somewhere. Like I said, most of the things that take your capital is if you have to go and use or buy land or do this. It's capital intensive. Now, but if you start, like I said, if you go to your father's land and you see that, okay, you have an hectare, you can actually plant and
Oh my God. Okay, now for those of you who don't have your father's land, ensure that you do not plant something behind your landlord's compound.
You can commission landlord.
You can just take permission from him.
Don't plant without, without permission. But thank you so much, Emem, for coming. Now, Emem is actually the MD CEO for the Elysia Agro Industries. Fantastic. And she is a beautiful farmer. You can see the glow.
Healthy farmer.
A healthy farmer. You can see the skin was really glowing. And thank you so much.
Feeding well.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming on the show and enlightening us and telling us more about the agricultural sector and, of course, how to secure the future of our nation. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, to everyone who has been with us today on the show, and I mean, in closing, on this part of the world, there's something we do. I like to say it in local dialect. They call it omoishe. You go and learn work. They call it learn work.
Oh, yeah.
You see, and Igbo people have, the people from the eastern part of this world have that tradition. You always send their sons or so to one uncle's place to learn how to sell spare parts, or learn vulcanizing, learn whatever trade it is. And just like our guest did say, you've got to go to a farm to learn these things. So we hope that we've been able to enlighten you and bring information that is very key. And we want to say thank you for always staying tuned to us here on the Love World XP, and of course the LXP Morning Flight. And your Love World Season 3, Phase 3, Day 4 is happening today, 7 p.m. GMT+1. Don't miss it for anything.
Miss it.
We've had fun today. I hope you did, guys.
Yeah, I did.
Like we did. So we've got to leave here because Prime Sports also runs, and of course the Octopus, who remains the champion, and I'm coming right after him strongly for now. We'll be joining you right after this. And thank you for joining us on the LX Morning Flight. We love you, and we'll see you again bright and early tomorrow. Remember, today's hashtag is going to be hashtag Farming Thursday. And sure to look for something to farm. Maybe beans, just like Beta Williams' daughter. And we'll see you again on Friday. Do have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.